Oh, a terminal. Attempting network reconnection. Network reconnection success. Hollow text database
Oh,
back online. Let's read the text.
Attention all B11 spaces personnel. An energy network collapse is imminent. Please enact stasis protocols immediately. This is not a drill. The atmosphere is no longer cooperating.
what?
What?
What's the ever fear?
Are we supposed to fear it? Oh.
Only displaying critical logs. 1959-01-W01. Facility breached. Unknown entity detected. 2027-01-W01. Unknown entity no longer detected. Log time overflow. Cannot display correct year. Calendar reset. 090400-YOO. Plot 10 evacuated. 1517-06-Y08. Plots 2022 and 24 evacuated. 1042-03-Y17. Critical life support error. 12 plots flatlined. 1043-03-Y17. Initiating emergency evacuation of plots 1 through 8.
So that's what just happened, right?
Yeah. But that's also like 17 years later from Part 10, I think. Yeah, that's the year
Whoa.
reset. So it's been 17 years since the other guys left.
So some people left, everyone else died, and we were emergency let out.
Yeah. More devices. Candles. Oh, another terminal.
As we enter the final stages, numerous fail-safes have been developed. Stasis, the seal, network collapse, the secondary source. I was a major part of the seal's development. What I saw in that facility necessitated its creation. If that fails, stasis should be an acceptable alternative.
Was that us swimming in
Dang.
stasis?
Oh,
Stasis subject roster. Let me read this one.
what to say?
1. Vera Thressa. 2. Zed Gurry. 3. Vemil Bane. 4. Ib Devereaux. 5. Sahane Oryx. Oh, that's Oryx.
Oh.
6. Otis Volsky. 7. Kai Zeve. 8. Ikari. 9. Just Lilo. 10. Tus Kamas. 11. Orn Drella. 12. Frel Lola. 13. Olana Marti. 14. Yonda Illyri. And then it carries some of more names. 15. Vom Thyro. Maesira, Heine, Bel Kori, Bel Yama, Ande Biff, Okan Kars, Vertari, Mo Silva, Rintanamo, Arum Klo. And that's the end. Actually, we should go that way later. Let's read text first.
This is very, very bad.
What is happening?
Stay calm. Get everyone that's here into their pods. We prepared for this.
He was supposed to tell us when it was going to begin.
This wasn't planned. They would have told us. This seems reactionary. We don't know what's happening, but we do know that the energy grid is down. All we can do is go through a stasis.
I mean, that text is highlighted, so I assume that's important, that the energy grid is down.
Energy grid is down.
Are we supposed to break? I mean, we'll find out later. What's this one say?
Whoa.
You know what doesn't mix well? Limited oxygen supply and fire. Being underground, if a fire started and consumed our oxygen, we would quickly find ourselves in a pretty awful situation. I set up these smoke detectors so that the sprinklers will trigger and the hollow door will open temporarily to increase ventilation.
Hollow door will open. Oh, wait, if we start a
Yeah.
fire, the hollow
Yeah.
door will open. Okay. Merchant's Praise. There's a book in here.
I'll read it, I guess.
A new shipment of exotics just arrived. Melons from the Black Jungle, perfume from Roma, and even live quails from Kasai. Emperor Nier says it's part of his new economic plan after the recession under Ithil. The Empire hasn't fared this well since the reign of Dren.
Ooh,
Yeah. Ooh, a book.
I'll take this book and read it.
Now, children, listen so you'll learn the founder of our state, the boyhood tale of Drehmal, who made our nation great. Born of a king, young Malsom was, but humble nonetheless. He learned to speak at only two. It's clear he was quite blessed. His maths he learned as well as sports, for he could leap and run. He became skilled in poetry and knew his sword and gun. One day young Dren made quite a mess. He broke a vase, I must confess. Fearful of his father's wrath, he tried to hide the aftermath. But his father was no fool, and knew immediately that his young son was the culprit, indubitably. He queried the young Malsom at length. Dren said with grief, "It was me, sir," and looked him in the eye. "Come to my arms, my son," said he. "You've made me quite content. For all my loss you told the truth, though you feared punishment." And from that day Dren told no lie, and was loyal to av'sal. Oh, how this brave and truthful boy became our greatest man.
Here you go.
So that's like a kid's story.
Yeah, it's a kid's book.
Or Elderly Citizen's Diary. Alright.
I reckon I maybe shouldn't be writing about this, but Lil Tuli and her soon-to-be sibling will be old enough someday to take some pride in their old grandma's actions in service of the Empire. You see, I was a welder working on the left flank of the greatest vessel av'sal has ever commissioned, the Aphelion. If you can believe it, I worked there for 5 years and didn't stay to see the project finished. Had a bit of a dispute with the shift manager over the treatment of my good friend and co-worker, and we were shipped out of there lickety-split. Of course, they never really needed us. Hundreds of folks were working on our side of the bow alone, and plenty of them were willing to keep laboring despite the lack of lunch breaks for those unlucky enough to run afoul of the leadership. I was happy to leave the mountains of metal and that inferno clanging behind once and for good. The bakery suited me better. The work was hard, but at least I met Grandpa, and we raised a lovely family. And unlike with welding, I got to see smiling faces every day. But there is a part of me that would still love to see that vessel sailing the seas or casting a huge shadow on the ground beneath it as it cruised overhead. It really was a thing of beauty even back then, the Aphelion. I'm sure it is even more magnificent now.
Huh.
You think that's the ship that we saw in the Vision? Like the
That
trailer?
That might be
Vision.
the ship.
Yeah.
The Vision.
Yeah, it's a Vision, you know.
You gotta keep it lore friendly. Wow.
Ooh, that's a journal here.
Found this old picture in the rubble. Seems to be the only thing left when we arrived. This place has been ransacked by every bandit group since the start of the Third Avim. Strange that they left this behind, or they didn't find it. Maybe we can go find it? Looks like an avsomic ruin, but it's probably been raided already. Pretty sure every single corner of this continent has been searched. I'll assume the door is already open when we get there. If we get there. But who knows? Maybe this is one of the few remaining unexplored avsomic ruins. Who knows what treasures could be inside?
You another one? To-do list.
Restock at Drabio.
Scout out the Drehmal temple to the south at Palace 18. Send a letter back to the Verdant Labyrinth clan.
Trip to Ebon Run. Need explosives for the glowing door.
There you go. Here's the to-do list for you.
More books. The Lore Keeper.
Whoa! Look at this.
Whoa. Oh. Old picture. Whoa. I wonder if that's the door.
I
Or
guess it has to
or the
be.
other door he was talking about. You can climb on the throne like I did.
Okay, fine.
The boring
okay.
way.
Ever since Emperor Dren first secured passage to Mount Yavlix, av'sal has grown at a lightning pace. Now, 2 emperors later, we are far too big to fail.
We are going to be making skills at a pace never seen since before Drehmal reforged the world.
So they're gonna make a lot of money because of their passage to Mount Yalvlix. So these guys probably failed.
So Draen's the guy from the children's book, right? So I think this is just like part of his legacy, like one of his heroic deeds or whatever, that he went to Mount Yavlix.
Oh, that makes sense.
2 emperors later, yeah, that would have been part of his legacy then.
The preliminary avsomic energy grid is now complete. It directly connects all major military and research installations, as well as av'sal and Salamir to the avsohm network. Now, energy transportation and communication are faster and easier than ever. Future plans include expanding the grid to all avsomic settlements, but that will take some time.
Yeah, okay. I used the floating to
What'd you
get
do?
down to the hole.
We set up that smoke detector system in the stasis facility in the event of any fires consuming the underground oxygen supply. So it only made sense to install one here too, given what we have stored down there.
What do they have stored down here? Alright, the fire. I still have flint and steel, so...
Oh,
we have uncovered the repository, according to that achievement. Okay.
Access closed detected. Data very Bison. Memory banks fragmented. Network connection lost. Terminus link active. Ancillary facility link inactive. Recommend restoring network link to bring ancillary facilities back online. Politics memory in these facilities will be corrupted until adequate linkage is restored.
So, do you want to take the left or right one?
I'll take left.
Okay.
Wait.
Comms with the Aphelion are a bit on the fritz. I've been maintaining contact with Griffs, trying to get him to fix it on their end. The most important vessel in the avsomic fleet needs to have absolutely zero downtime in its communications. If something were to happen to it, we would need to know immediately. Griffs thinks it's an issue with one of the arrays, either receiving too much power or too little. I still need to check the wiring over here.
This is the most advanced piece of technology we have ever created. An intelligent, adaptive computational system. We've placed it in control of major systems like the Terminus network, where it manages diagnostics and makes sure everything stays running. If it were to ever go down, no, that's not worth thinking about. As long as avsohm stands tall, av'sal should remain operational. Hail to avsohm!
Well, that's more lore down there, I guess.
Lots of lore, a lot of lore.
A hidden research facility beneath a rocky crag in the center of the capital valley, right near the entrance to the primal caverns. Avsomic Dramari recently awoke in stasis pods after an unknown amount of time. The systems appear to have been used hurriedly in response to some sort of emergency. Exploiting a fire suppression system provided a convenient means of escape.
Is the facility narrating our adventure?
Oh, is this like...
Because
as we add, is this what we do?
Maybe, because there's more and more, but some of them aren't active yet. This is the next one
And only
that's
we have
active.
two.
Appears to be the ruined capital of the once expansive empire of av'sal. Most of the important things here seem to be contained to the central island. There's more to be discovered here.
If there's
Wow, so this is like where we can document our progress.
yeah, this is great.
Story-wise.
Whoa,
This
whoa,
is the
that's
lore room.
There's more. Is this cool? Ooh, there's one over here.
Right behind me is the pinnacle of avsomic weapons technology. Well, the hilt of it at least. Currently, the other pieces are being kept separate at secure ID locations. Kalas insisted that they be separate until we can effectively charge it. Says it's too dangerous if someone managed to steal would attempt to use it improperly. We have such good security, I don't think that's much of a risk. It's his project, so he calls the shots.
Oh. So this is just a piece of a sword.
Yeah, that looks like a
With a
hilt
hilt.
in there. It's a very big
So-
hilt, though.
Wonder if it's for big guys.
Well,
Oh, there's a terminal over here.
Yeah. What's that one say?
Oh, this is Kovis again.
Okay.
One of the most fascinating features of this weapon is just how powerful it can become. Though simply connecting the fragments would lead to a formidable blade, it only reveals its true strength when exposed to a significant quantity of primal energy. Current tests have failed to find an upper limit.
Dang.
Whoa.
So I wonder if we could like put that sword together. And is that a good idea if we could?
I mean, maybe.
The seat of Ibra with an av'sal has been held by 3 individuals so far. First Dren, then Ifile, and now Anir. Ifile experienced numerous military failings during his reign, resulting in the populace's want for a competent strategist to take the throne. Thus, Grand General Anir was the obvious choice. In a time of peak scientific progress and power for av'sal, Emperor Anir will surely lead us to glorious victory against Malus in the west.
Oh,
Wasn't
so that's something
Malus
different.
the god? Wasn't Malus the name of one of the other gods, the deities? Or am I insane? I'm exploring a wee bit more. Oh,
The last 30 minutes have seen rolling blackouts across the entire energy network as something is overdrawing with our infrastructure can't keep up. Early reports coming out of primary energy connection are showing issues with the anomaly stabilizers. Maybe something is up with Frontier? We're awaiting a status report from COO Roy on that front. It could, of course, be something entirely different, but I have my suspicions.
yeah, I found that on the next level up from...
And as we close today's gathering, I would like to make an announcement. Effective tomorrow, I, Drehmal, will no longer be your emperor. I am old now, and the heart beats only so many times. I have given my life to founding this great empire, and thus we have brought peace, prosperity, and unity across all of Drehmal. Now I want for only 2 things. I would like to rest, and I would like to observe this empire to its very end. Alas, only the former may be a reality. I will gladly settle. Go forth, my children. Find your new emperor. May they lead you well. Hail to av'sal. The ruined capital of the once expansive empire of av'sal. Their first emperor and founder, Drehmal, united people across the land and allowed the empire to thrive. During the reign of its most recent emperor, Anir, av'sal saw immense technological growth. An incomplete weapon, said to be the pinnacle of av'salic military technology, is stored here within the repository.
So I guess that's all the lore we unlocked. We know
What if
about...
that's like, yeah, that's the sword that we found.
I'm pretty sure it is, yeah. Now you know about Drehmal. I
Ooh,
don't
I found a
know
book.
if enchanting. Is that a reading book?
Yeah,
lore book?
Memoir of a Tutor.
Dren was always a quiet boy in his youth, both observant and studious in equal measure. He was quick to pick up on maths, history, and science. Even from a young age, he seemed aware of the legacy he held on his back and was determined to make his father proud. The assassination weighed heavily on him, and with the throne of the chosen kingdom now empty, he was next in line. But Dren, to the surprise of everyone, refused the throne, citing corruption and undue influence from the wealthy. This was not to last, as that very move gained him massive popularity amongst the populace. Seeing that the people loved him, and with the chosen kingdom on the brink of collapse, Dren ascended to the throne. With lofty political ambitions, he reformed the kingdom into the av'salic empire, with the goal of uniting the entire continent. I cannot be prouder to have been his tutor.
That's nice.
Hmm.
And also, that means that tutor is long fucking dead because Dren was
That guy's
like
dead.
2 emperors before. And I kind of want to look around to see if I missed any of... Wait, what?
Most contemporary alchemists view our field through the lens of one of three schools, although these schools developed somewhat independently and at times went by different names. Modern alchemy is considered a syncretic study of all three. Experienced alchemists generally specialize in a particular school after 5 years of study, and master alchemists will often be highly specialized in a single school. However, the true savants among us may seamlessly combine all schools. While there are many differences between the schools, all share the same goal, the completion of the great work. The first school of alchemy to be developed is known as av'sal alchemy. This school focuses on spiritual matters and emphasizes self-control, asceticism, and enlightenment. This school was first conceptualized by Otanus Magian in Avim 2, 1320. Av'sal alchemy is primarily concerned with the doctrine of spheres, a spiritual journey that is said to aid the practitioners in the path to the great work. The second school of alchemy to be developed is known as hermetic alchemy. It is primarily concerned with the use of reagents, reactions, and potion making. Its core tenets include inquisitiveness, rigorous research, and experimentation. This school was slowly developed throughout the 1300s. A gathering of practitioners and lunar cultists in the late 1300s quickened the growth of the field drastically. Hermetic alchemy produces some of the most useful mundane examples of alchemy, such as potions, Kai's brew, and various useful non-magical materials. The third school of alchemy, metamorphic alchemy, is shrouded in mystery. It deals with direct modification of the body through biologic or mechanical means. It is a very practical school, borrowing heavily from the work of Hermeticism. Industrial innovations of the av'shomic empire have pushed the school to new limits with red-type implants, bold modification, innovative reiteration, and progressive ideals. Though detractors of the school claim it is reckless, its proponents point to the nice supernatural feats dedicated practitioners can achieve.
Whoa.
So that's like a whole textbook. Where are you? Can you take the book from me?
I'm I found a book.
Where are you?
I'm up here.
Oh, another book? What's
It's,
it say?
It is practical biomechanics.
The most common use of alchemical sciences in the modern day is the use of practical biomechanics. PB, as it is sometimes known, is the use of alchemy, specifically biologic fields, in the Hermetic school to produce everyday materials, often in mass quantity. For instance, the dark oaken wood found throughout this very school was made via the use of practical biomechanics. When regular oak wood is fully infused with a concocted brew of specific reagents, the strength of the wood is greatly increased and it becomes almost entirely resistant to mold, wood lice, and other decomposers.
That's cool.
Wow.
Okay, let me look around the hangar because I didn't really do that.
It was the survey drones who found it, I heard. Everyone knew the rumors. Featherless birds, twisted and three-eyed, fish that sought the land and rotted where they landed. Fields of reeds with underground maws to swallow the feet of passers-by. And yet, there it was, the lilting song of energy for the Empire. The expeditionary force rode north as far as the land would go, but they were stopped by the proud and foolish northern clans. Unswayed by Dren, the clans barred the path, but later perished at the hands of their hero, along with all life in that endless plain. An eternal fury of malevolent ice, spiraling and spreading like ash from a pyre. Yet serendipitous, for passage to the mountain was found, and collection began its frenzied refrain. But rumors from that place persist of oozing stone and tumors of alien tissue. Though comfortable now in fair av'sal, maybe we should not have gone there at all.
There's a few more buildings past the hangars that appear to be mostly empty. While I
Next to
investigate.
on the fire.
Ah! There's a guy. He's not named. It's fine.
We've set up shop at some big old avsomic building. Mill knows what it was used for, but it keeps out the cold better than anything else here. Tomorrow we plan to send a contingent to secure the center island. See if that Grand Empire left any goodies for us. Well, it could have gone better. Didn't find any resistance beyond the rats. But we didn't find anything useful either. There were a bunch of dumb terminals, but none of them were working. Only thing still functioning was a damn door that stopped us from getting further in.
Hey, that's the place that
Lore.
we were just at.
What's in there?
There's a scale and there's a book and a bunch of blocks.
Like a readable book?
You want the book?
Readable book or?
Yeah. Oh, I forgot. There's like 2 readable books. Which one do you want? You want Travels of
Give me
Captain
anyone.
Ib, Volume 1?
Wait,
Or
what are they?
Parents You can have this one.
Yesterday, my daughter approached me and asked me why av'sal is really as great as I say it is. Like many young ladies of her age, she is chafing at the boundaries that society, and especially her parents, have set for her. It made me stop and think. I had grown so accustomed to reciting Hail to av'sal to anyone I met that I had not thought about the foundations for my patriotism in many long years. While Emperor Near, long may he live, is resplendent and brilliant, and Emperor Iphile was noble and well-intentioned, in the end there was only one person responsible for av'sal's present age of enlightenment, and that was Emperor Drin. Not only did he rise to power by winning the people's hearts instead of accepting a birthright, he rewarded that trust countless times. His investment into the sciences has improved our standard of living dozens of times over. His code of laws and system of education has safeguarded our bodies and honed our minds. And by always choosing peace before war and prioritizing honesty in all dealings, he created a sturdy foundation for our children's morals. In no other time in history have Dramari lived as contentedly as we do today. While some credit goes to the founding peoples of Drehmal and the Chosen Kingdom, and the confluence of Blue Exodus, Green Serpent, and Red Dawn, the majority must go to Emperor Drin Malsom. Though he died before I was born, I still feel his influence on everything around me. Rin is still young. I am sure she will soon come to see how lucky she is.
Cool parenting.
Me when I'm a parent. Oh, I see it.
Yeah. Okay, so this is Travels of Captain Ib, Volume 1.
In the fjords of Palisades Heath lies a devious society of pirates, a tenacious lot before our else. Even the rise of av'sal was not enough to dislodge them from their hoofbeat perches amongst the cliffs. They raid, pillage, and steal all across the coast of the mouth of Drehmal. That is where my story begins. I am Captain Ib, the greatest pirate in the realm. I was born in a secluded town in the Heartwood, built by humble forest people. But I knew from a young age the forest was not my home. I traveled west and took to the sea at a young age. My goal? To eliminate the pirates in Palisades Heath and claim their treasure for myself. The many broadside cannons of my glorious ship demolished the entire outpost and left nothing behind. Their treasure was mine, the first success of many for the glorious Captain Ib.
Here you go.
Whoa. Thanks.
You're the librarian now. Why are you down there?
I fell.
Alright, I'll read the
How do I
book
get
then
back
while
up
you do
there?
that.
Mum says Emperor Iphile is giving a speech soon. He's going to be up on the noble parapet, right above the big banner. I don't really care about politics, but I want to watch just 'cause he's so dreamy. They say the Emperor lives in the room behind the parapet, but they never let any commoners on the main island, let alone into the Emperor's room itself. It must be so lavish and divine.
Whoa.
Sarah, Lom, Vahal, and I were having one of our Rala debate clubs when the topic of religion came up as usual. Lom spoke about the incredible beauty of virtue and her commitment to making the realm a safer and more peaceful place for all, arguing that her goals were the same as those of av'sal. Sarah offered a snide remark about the real reasons for Lom's devotion to the Lady of the Mirror, and then predictably began her diatribe against divinity in any form. If aspects and deities really created the world and were made to serve Dramari, then why did they war and kill one another? Why do so many still suffer? Why did Drehmal abandon us? I felt anger rising in my throat, but before I could respond, the howl spoke. An unusual event. Most Raras, he would only walk with us and listen. His words were metered and precise.
Drehmal did not abandon us. In fact, they still live in the form of the man who rules our state, Anir.
Of course, the rest of us had heard this argument before. Normally, the official line is that Anir carried the same spirit of Drehmal which had lived within Dren and once guided our empire to prosperity. The main argument against the theory is that there was no evidence for it. Until now, apparently, last Torlar, Emperor Anir was spotted in Salanir giving an address in the early morning, and then back here at av'sal before lunch. Could anyone not wielding the power of the serpent really do that? No airship that we know about is capable of making a journey like that, and the reports were confirmed by many. Certainly, some other explanation is possible. Body doubles or some sort of teleportation magic could be to blame, but I am starting to wonder if the howl is right. Hey, where were we? Let's go that way.
Third of Omamari.
Dad got a new job with the government today. He and Mom looked happy. I know he was trying to get this job for a while. Mom says he will be gone more now, which makes me sad. Before he left, he gave me this diary as a gift. He says that he will read it when he gets back from work.
Seventh of Virmacla.
Dad still isn't back from work, but he sends us letters sometimes. He says he can't talk about his job because it's very secret and very important. I think it's super cool. I hope he's a super spy, sneaking around and messing up males' armies. I love my dad.
11th of Toran Soma.
I know Mom said Dad would be gone more often, but I didn't realize how bad it would be. I'm starting to really miss him. We still get letters sometimes, but he says he's really busy with a new project. I just hope he comes back home soon.
2nd of Tazgantuo.
We got moved to a new housing block today. It's directly attached to one of those new av'sal thingies. I don't really understand what they do, but they heat the home up. It's nice and toasty in here, even though it's frozen outside. Dad said his great new job helped pay for it.
5th of Tazgan Roma.
Last night, the light on the av'sal thingy went out. Mom started freaking out a bit, and we started to hear people screaming outside. Mom locked the doors, but nobody tried to get in. I want to send a letter to Dad, but Mom says I can't anymore. What happened to him?
He had an explorer's guide. Let's see what it says.
The hardwood. To the east, across the river, lies the dense and dangerous forest known as the hardwood. Come prepared both in mind and in equipment before journeying here. Merriule Forest, a serene autumnal peninsula filled with wildlife. Quite the trek from here. Consider stocking up on supplies before making the journey. Aklorilla, a gorgeous land of massive flowers, with the crown jewel of dusks at its center. Also considerably far, and McMurray may guard the path. Come with weapons. Palisades Heath, massive cliffs and deep fjords to the south across the capital river. Bridges may or may not be in complete disrepair. A huge McMurray camp lies along the road, perhaps with treasure fit for any adventurer. Other notes, roads in Drehmal are old and decrepit, fading out after some time. One is forced off the beaten path to survive.
Here's a book for you. As is customary. I don't know, I hope the guy has a nice life, but we have to head on.
Ooh, a book.
What is it?
Fall of Av'sal.
Oh, we get lore about av'sal. Right, because the whole the thing's fucked. We know about that part. The thing's all fucked, right?
Oh.
Like that's where we live in the former capital of av'sal.
Whoa, wait a minute. Oh. Wait a minute, there's the fall of Av'sal, and this other chest there's the rise.
I mean, usually it's a rise before the fall.
So let's see how it happened before.
Alright.
The chosen kingdom of the Central Plains was undergoing tumultuous times. Drehmal, heir to the throne, refused refused to inherit the crown after his father's assassination. He saw the deep corruption of the kingdom and deemed it unfit as it clashed with Dren's democratic ideals. However, after 13 years of insistence by the populace, Dren relented and ascended to the throne. His reign was characterized by the heavy reform that transformed it into the av'shomic empire. Dren's primary goal was to unite the fractured Drehmal people together to better prepare themselves for another conflict between deities. Dren's first major act was to move the capital from the overpopulated and corrupt metropolis of Drehmal. After a short period of governing from a tent, he soon supervised the construction of a grand new capital, av'sal. Even today, due to rumors of a curse, those ruins contain many great and powerful artifacts of the av'shomic empire.
Oh, so yeah, that's the place that we set
Live
up
now.
camp.
Yeah. You know, it's just cursed, that will be fine. Alright, how did it fall?
Av'shohm saw much diplomatic success under Dren's reign, but his life was untimely cut short during a devastating plague. This coincided with a major decline in stability, exemplified by the rulers that followed. Dren's successor was Emperor Zordis Iphial. Although massively popular, especially with younger generations, he fell out of favor due to disastrous war with the Trimun theocracy and consistent economic mismanagement. Iphial's successor will be Avsohm's last emperor, Ufhial Anir. Emperor Anir was also loved by the people, as he was a great war hero, in contrast to the soft perception many had of Iphial. The growing threat of an invasion by the forces of Mail allowed Emperor Anir to conduct military tactics that would be seen as outrageous today. For example, he transferred himself and his cabinet to the city of Sal Anir, west of the Doxax Plains. Av'shohm met its end after a mysterious event resulted in the disappearance of many of the Empire's military and industrial leaders. Mail took this moment of chaos to invade and was ultimately able to conquer all of the West. The remnants of Av'shohm's great magical prowess have been left to gather dust in the wake of its collapse.
So did everyone get like raptured? What happened?
Introduction. In this 3-volume series, students of the 4th Avim will be transported back into time. Though the age of divinity has now waned, the influence of deities and aspects can still be felt everywhere. Let us now venture back to the beginning. Very little is known about the first Avim, Av1, but legends speak of a towering tree which dwarfed even the mountains, known as the primal tree. In a cataclysm known as the felling, the tree toppled over, uprooting the land with it. Though we will spend more time on the draconic aspects which created the world of Av1, it is important to first discuss the deities, who were born in Av2. From then until the very end of Av3, these 3 divine beings have shaped our world in profound ways. Virtuo, Lady of the Mirror. Goddess of peace, purity, and perfection, Virtuo is the most widely worshipped deity in the realm for good reason. Taking the form of a 12-foot-tall Dromari with shimmering blue horns, she spent most of her time after the deity war, which ended in Av2 1000, healing the sick and brokering peace between warring nations. Her ascended peoples, the Dromari, are said to be incredibly beautiful beings of perfect symmetry, though very few remain. In Av3, 978, Virtuo and her all-Dromari Grand Parish suddenly disappeared, ending an era and sending much of the realm into mourning. Still, it seems clear that Virtuo is not dead, for her sacred lanterns still burned, and the remaining Dromari still perform the purifying rites. One day, perhaps, she will return. Malus, Lord of the Burnt, god of chaos, conflict, and corruption. Malus, or Male as he is sometimes called, is a notoriously angry and warlike deity who takes the form of a huge, armored, 15-foot-tall Dromari. The scourge of the West, Malus relies on his horde of highly unique but unlearned ascendant, the Maelmari, to fuel an endless crusade to conquer the realm. Though Malus has done many terrible things in the pursuit of power, some of his worst atrocities were the unleashing of the Skull Beasts and the slaughter of Salanir, and especially the obliteration of the Southern Hardwood and the kingdom of Espinor. Despite, or perhaps of these acts, his vast armies under the burnt generals remain fanatically loyal, and he also retains a modest following of heretical Dromari worshippers. Drehmal, Realmbinder, Shaper Serpent, Last Divine, Liege of All. Also often referred to as the final aspect, this title is highly misleading and will not be utilized in the new edition of these volumes. Very unlike the other deities, Drehmal takes the form of a gigantic, bearded, green-scaled serpent of nearly indescribable size. Namesake of the realm itself, Drehmal was only active for several decades at the very beginning of AV2, where they wove the dregs of a destroyed world into a cohesive and livable terrain. After this short period of activity, Drehmal has fallen into a deep slumber in the primal caverns far below the world. But thanks primarily to the writings of the ancient people of Drehwa in nearby Palisades Heath, we know about the exploits of a wise, kind, and friendly being who truly cared about the affairs of us Dromari. Though it is unlikely that they ever will awaken in our lifetime, we still have their words and actions as example. A small faction of devoted, including many residents of humble New Drabiel, cling to their sage, scrupulous teachings.
That's book 1.
Whoa.
So we have lore about the three guys.
Now we know more about the three guys.
Yeah. Now on to volume 2.
The aspects are minor gods that assisted the primal tree in the creation of the realm before AV2. They no longer have much influence over the realm as they wish not to interfere with it anymore. All of them are reptilian in some way, many of them taking the form of great winged beasts. The aspects are broadly split into two groups, the major aspects and the minor aspects, although the exact location of this division has been the subject of much theological debate. Theogony Volume 2 will discuss the major aspects, while Volume 3 will discuss the minor ones. There is also a distinction between the elder aspects and the other major aspects. This is also a strange distinction, but one constructed by the aspects themselves. Most scholars assume it signifies power and seniority amongst the aspects, with the four elders being far more powerful than the others. Mystic Elder Kive, Great Arcane Aspect. Kive is the aspect who created runic magic and gifted the power of the arcane to mortals. Considered the most powerful aspect, Kive strictly stays out of the affairs of Dromari. Few have ever seen the visage of Kive. Abyssal Elder Dar, Great Sea Aspect. Dar brought water to the realm and filled the ocean basins. He is considered the king of the aspects and lords over the Prismatic Council, the governing body of the mysterious land which the aspects call home, the divine moon of Lodar. Landfall Elder Tigel, Great Land Aspect. Tigel created the land and continents, and is described as a massive earthen turtle. Despite its size, it is known to be a gentle and caring elder who often counsels other aspects who come to ask for advice. Starrise Elder Rehelma, Great Sky Aspect. Rehelma created the skies, the clouds, and most things above our heads. She keeps the moons in their orbits and is often known to give out enigmatic prophecies. While other elders reside on Lodar, Rehelma's location is unknown. Lai, the Bright Worm, Aspect of Warmth. Lai brought the joy of warmth into our lives and reflects that warmth in its sunny disposition. Lai is by far the most cheerful and accommodating aspect and is known for his easygoing nature even amongst mortals. Glacial Paragon Lo, Aspect of Cold. Despite what one might think, Lo is not a cold-hearted or cruel aspect. In fact, she is quite jolly. However, she is known to keep a grudge, with her and Lai having a fierce rivalry, both dropping the friendly facade to fiercely debate. Breathgiver Vainacla, Aspect of Life. Perhaps the most important aspect, Vainacla's domain has steadily eroded over time. Originally given the power to create life and heal souls, she could not create complex forms, but is still respected and venerated realm-wide. Soul Stealer Voinala, aspect of death. Voinala is a much reviled aspect with dominion over death itself. During the Divine Schism, the first and only war between the aspects, Voinala took his own life, but due to his own power over death, continued to linger in our realm.
That's 2 of the 3 books. And where are you, Bird?
Where are you? Oh.
You could have a look at this while I read the 3rd book.
This textbook, the final in its series, discusses the minor aspects that govern our world. Although technically they may be less powerful than their major brethren, they are all vital to the continued function of our realm in their own ways, and should be worshipped and revered as such. Inferno Liloan, aspect of fire. Child of Lie, he is ferocious, gluttonous, and disdainful. Avalanche Lolaean, aspect of snow. Child of Lo, she is harsh, with a rapier wit. She and Liloan are in a relationship. Fluvial Dar Roel, aspect of fresh water. Child of Dar, they populated the world with rivers and lakes. Tempest Palisida, aspect of storms. Child of Dar and Rehelma, who was killed in the Divine Schism by Abominate Mayan. Wise Worm Co, aspect of stone. A reclusive aspect, only helping those in dire need. Summit Drake Naheen, aspect of mountains. A perfectionist who compensates for his small size by creating large landforms. Zephyr Riale, aspect of wind. Free-spirited, jovial, the fastest aspect. Noah of meadows, aspect of harvest. Noah was a gentle giant, blessing the lands with nutrition. Died of grief, starting the Divine Schism. Great Beast Murs, aspect of beasts. Created by Vanicla to help foster life, was killed by a hunting party sometime in Av 2. Mari the Great, aspect of Dramari. Created mortals and the mind, some say he still walks among us. Main, Mourn, and Tethlane, the 3 aspects of emotion. Created and maintained the primal emotions, all 3 of which are vital for functional souls. Mourn lives on Lodar, Mayan is shackled to Lorun, and Tethlane is widely believed to be dead after disappearing. Lars the Burgeoning, aspect of resonance. Considered by many to be a major aspect, Lars tends to a wide domain encompassing cycles, music, the seasons, balance, growth, and decay. Without their influence, the realm would quickly decay into nothingness.
Alright, but that's all the lore. Serpents Chosen.
Whoa.
A winding path of reflection in the place where recorded history began. Discovered Drehmal Temple, sacred place of Drehmal.
Oh.
Wait.
The thing.
Welcome to Drehmal Temple. Dear traveler, welcome to Drehmal. We encourage you to follow the path until its end and stay for a teaching in the Hall of Tranquility. And remember that the serpent is long. Feel free to leave an offering by any statue of their form, not just those in this place.
Huh.
The Parable of the Lake Bird.
And so it happened that I was strolling on the water's edge after a long week of harvest, as the wind whistled through the peaks of the Ruxiguado. As I came to the heap, I again noticed the great serpent, straightening out the rocks and restoring life to the battered conifers of some long-lost land. The serpent was vast. They seemed larger even than when they had last come through the mountain valley where we made our home. As I approached, the serpent swung its majestic visage towards me. Dropping to a prayer position, I called out to them.
Great Drehmal, I had not anticipated finding you here, but I must humbly request your assistance. Can you spare a moment of your time?
In a primordial rumble which echoed across the sound, the serpent laughed.
Time is immaterial to me, small one. Though I must soon rest, I shall not do so until my work is finished. What is it that you wonder?
I looked into their gleaming eye with some trepidation, for they were taller alone than most of the trees in our homeland. Finally, I began to speak.
Though I have worked in the fields each day this week until my fingers have become raw and bleeding, even a bountiful harvest strikes me as useless when framed in the context of your work. Among the great chaos of the lands in the center of the sea, you find order, and you seem to create the water we drink and the food we labor to grow. What can I possibly do that will contribute in a meaningful way to this world that you change at a moment's notice?
The serpent regarded me for a long moment, and then formed themselves into a coil which could have easily reached around our entire valley. They spoke in the same deep voice, but it carried clear notes of kindness.
Dramari, your work is no less important. By following your path and working hard to meet the demands of your soul to learn, create, and find happiness, you fulfill your station. Though you are small and I am big, I am doing no different. After all, it is with the act of repairing what is broken, of bringing order and hope to this place of despair, that brings my soul joy.
Still in reverent shock that the serpent was addressing me, I stood still for a moment and considered their words, before deciding that they did not satisfy me. Daring to speak again, I lifted up my voice.
If what you say is true, why have you made survival in this place so difficult? Slaughtering animals and spending days in the fields to reap the harvest does not bring me any joy.
The serpent nodded and flicked their gigantic tail, sending ripples throughout the calm water.
It was not my decision to make, but that of my forebears. Like you, I operate within some constraints, but rather than turning to frustration, we must learn to take pleasure in our work. For example, take the walk that you have embarked upon today. Does the air not taste sweeter now that you have spent the week laboring to breathe as you worked in the fields? And is the scenery not more stunning when you have spent so long in the confines of one place? Remember my words. Do the unpleasant things that you must. But take pleasure in the positive impacts of that work, and when the undesirable labor is complete, work toward the creative yearnings of your soul with no less vigor. I believe you will find that a labor of love is no burden at all.
Nodding my head and bowing deeply, I thanked the serpent for their wisdom before departing the way I had come. I recalled my wooden flute, which I had resolved to put down until the harvest was complete, and suddenly was filled with a great desire to play. Though there were other tasks which would need to be done before the cold arrived, I spent the few hours remaining in the day learning the notes of a new melody.
Whoa.
I stole the book, and it's called Erudice's Teachings.
Oh,
So, your turn.
right there. Wait. Why is it already on page 11?
I don't know. I can open it.
There we go. This is... What's this? The Parable of the Orchard. Orchid.
Orchard.
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 Yeah.
I was a young scribe's apprentice in those days, traveling far away from my homeland of Palisade, in the land called Drehmal. My master, Pelai, had been called for because of our people's reputation for wisdom and their ability to keep accurate records. While my master was away meeting with the local lord, I was tasked with beginning to count the total number of healthy trees in his orchard. While I began working with vigor, I soon lost motivation when I crested a small hill only to see trees stretching nearly to the horizon. Resolving to simply estimate the number of trees by doing some measurements and approximation, I decided to lay down in the shade for a nap. I had only begun to lose consciousness when a great eruption of earth nearby shook me awake. In a panic, I grabbed my short sword and jumped backwards. Although I feared I was being attacked by one of the dragons of old, I saw green scales and gnarled horns, and I knew I was with the great serpent, Drehmal themselves. The serpent moved slowly and sluggishly, slithering forwards with what appeared to be a great lethargy. Knowing the tales of the prophets, I called out to them.
Oh, great serpent, where is your destination? Is there something I can do to assist you?
Their head moving slightly around, one eye came to regard me. In the deep, Slightly slurring voice resonated through the windy orchard.
Small one, I only ask that you have patience. A job well done can take an unfathomably long time, but when you are finally finished and there is nothing left to do, you can rest easily and contentedly. So work hard, follow your path, and do not grow frustrated when the going gets tough. Soon you will be able to lay down your head, and your dreams will be all the sweeter.
I glanced down at my very incomplete notes with new determination, but recognizing that the serpent was not behaving quite like the legends described, I allowed myself to ask one more question.
Great Serpent, are you unwell? I don't know what my people would do without you around to guide us.
Stopping in their tracks for a moment, the serpent craned their sinuous neck towards me.
Dramari, I have taught your people all that I know, and at last it is time for me to rest. Please do not despair. I will not die, but my work was long, and for now I am satisfied. I am so proud of you. You will excel in my absence.
Tears suddenly began cascading down my face in a torrent.
We will do our best. I will do my best.
I continued to call out to them as they turned northward again and began traveling towards a distant lake and the 3 peaks beyond it. As they moved past a rolling hill, I saw the tip of their scaly tail seem to wave at me, and then they were gone. Filled with newfound purpose along with a great sorrow, I turned in a tear-soaked but righteous audit sheet to my master. From then on, I lived a very patient, devoted life.
Wow.
Wow, he had to count a lot.
I didn't have an account.
Did you
Teachings.
Cool.
Look at that.
Sharo.
That's a $10 word.
You can have error days as well. Next up, the parable of the Riverside Crag.
When I was young, I was nothing but a cowardly bandit. Though not many dared to travel then, those who did would often find need to ford a river, which runs far to the south of this place at a certain shallows. It was there, in the shadow of a tall crag, that I concealed myself behind a bush. Then, to my delight, I saw a tempting target approach the river's edge, a solitary traveller, wearing sensible clothes and carrying a large travelling bag. Around her neck was fastened a large, luminous gem, which glinted with hints of green and gold. I withdrew my bow and nocked an arrow. I would wait until she was halfway across, then leap out from behind my bush and confront her. Helpless, with nowhere to run, she would be forced to abandon her belongings. I steeled myself in anticipation and prepared to strike, but suddenly my knees failed me. The ground seemed to explode, and an overwhelming noise echoed all around. Suddenly, behind me, a massive form rose out of the crag. Long and sinuous, it wrapped itself around the rocky peak, and finally revealed itself to be the great serpent themselves. Filled with awe and briefly forgetting my mission, I sat on the settling dirt behind the bush. A flock of seabirds landed on their huge horns as they held their head impossibly high over the scene. I opened my mouth and closed it, but was unsure of what to do or say. Glancing behind me briefly, I was annoyed to see my quarry darting away like a frightened step-rabbit. Deeper than thunder and twice as loud, the serpent's voice echoed through the veil, calm but stern.
Small one, why did you seek harm upon my sibling's child?
Shame rising up my face, I stared at a nearby clump of grass.
I just wanted that gemstone. It would fetch a good price at market. I would be able to eat well for weeks.
My stomach gurgled in agreement. The serpent nodded slightly and curled the tip of their gargantuan tail around the end of a long vine which dangled from their chin.
I see. You seek your own sustenance at the expense of another's.
At this point, the embarrassment became too much. I must confess that I lashed out at them.
Yes, I do. I am short, thin, and weak. My mother and father are deathly ill, and I'm not going to be able to take care of them if I cannot eat. So therefore, yes, I seek my own sustenance. This world is unfair, and though a god like you might not empathize, perhaps you could consider showing a little mercy.
The serpent blinked long and slow, and then spoke again.
Your rage is justified, but let me ask you to consider the other perspective. What if you carried a full bag of food and medicine for your kin from a faraway place, but were accosted and forced to leave it behind?
Though I knew it was a losing argument, I nonetheless fired back once more.
That situation is impossible. I would easily beat any lowly ambusher and return in time for dinner. You have ruined my chances today, and now I must return home. Hopefully my family is still alive when I do.
The serpent lingered as I stormed away, still flustered and angry with myself for being caught. Their sonorous voice rang out as I left.
Dramari, know that all of us must take our independent path. While mine may be longer, yours is just as important. When your road crosses with that of another traveler, see if they travel in the same direction, but do not force theirs to end or take an unnatural detour. Instead, weave your paths together into a greater tapestry of creation, and you will be all the happier for it.
Finally, crossing behind a bluff, I left their intense gaze and took the quickest route back to the village. When I arrived, I saw a crowd gathered in the common area. To my surprise, I learned that the traveler I had nearly robbed of all their possessions was a Vemari, dispatched from far away to heal the malefic plague. That evening, after eating dinner with my much-recovered parents, I went to the standing stones and prayed to the great serpent for the very first time in my long life of service and devotion.
Whoa.
Hexua's teachings. And finally, the parable of the stone tablet for you.
Of the stone tablet.
It was well into my tenure as the head teacher of Drehmal when a year came that was uniquely hot and dry. Few children of the Ruxi Huadal flowed at all, and even the mighty Eru was nothing more than a lazy stream. It is said that when times are their hardest, everyone seeks a grey head, and so it was that I found myself faced with a contingent of area farmers seeking advice for how they could save the season's harvest. My preliminary suggestions included diverting more water from the Eru and trading with the Karlans, but of course these had already been tried and were insufficient. Unsure and deeply troubled, I nonetheless assured the farmers that I would think of a solution. That day I travelled as fast as my old legs could carry me to all the rune carvers in Palisade and asked their advice. While some had heard of a rune that could create water that was used long ago in the Age of Aspects and Empires, it had been lost to time. Suddenly possessed by an energy unfitting for a dignified old Dramari nun, I knew what I had to do. Retrieving my walking stick and canteen and telling my husband where I was going, I set off along a recent slither mark. Though my back and knees started to ache, I continued on my adventure all day. It was in the early evening, as the Turan bathed the world in spectacular fiery hues, when I came to where the great serpent was growing a stand of mighty oaks on a hillside. Placing my walking stick at my side, I knelt and bowed my head, before shouting as loudly as I could in my reedy, failing voice.
O Drehmal, Realm Binder, Shaper Serpent, Liege of all, Final Aspect and Last Divine, my great friend and mentor, I humbly require your assistance.
The serpent's horns stopped glowing, and they gently and fluidly curled their body around the hillside to face me. Their enormous green eyes looked as kind as usual.
Ah, Sherwa, you are always welcome company. Thank you for guiding your people well. They make our realm a better place.
Despite myself, I could not help but smile widely when they complimented me.
You are too kind. We are fortunate to have a creator who cares about us. If I am honest, I do not come under the best of circumstances. The rivers have nearly run dry, and the heat is unbearable for our poor crops.
I am looking for a rune that was used in the days long past to create drinkable water. Could you teach it to me?
The serpent closed their eyes for a moment in thought, and then spoke.
I see. You're right to seek your solution to this problem.
Suddenly beginning to move, they rested their great head on the meadow grasses. I shuddered at their colossal size. Then they spoke once more.
Climb onto my head. I believe I know where to find the knowledge you seek.
Laboriously, I began to climb their huge scales with the help of the tip of their tail, and found a comfortable place to sit. Then they began to slither. A great volume of air moved through my long grey and white hair, as I saw the lands move past me like a blur. Finally, we arrived at what appeared to be an ancient fort of mountainous proportions, sitting in a grey wasteland which stretched to the horizon. The serpent's horns glowed once more, and a stone as large as our town and the temple combined came to rest near me. On it were carved many runes alongside descriptions of their functions, written in ancient Riselch. After squinting for a few moments, I identified a few runes that seemed to be helpful for our community, and laboriously copied them onto my calligraphy scroll. As I worked, the serpent spoke.
Sherlock, I have told you many things throughout the years, but this is among my closest held beliefs. Individual Dramari may be transient, but that does not mean that your work and your paths are unimportant. By using your memories and awareness, you can accumulate great knowledge throughout your lifetimes. By passing that knowledge on to your children directly, you can make their lives easier and allow for more time to be spent on creation rather than survival. But memory is short, and even the most important practices are lost to time. Therefore, you must teach your people to write. By recording the successes and mistakes, the achievements and the tragedies, future Dramari can begin their paths from a strong foundation instead of a few bricks, even if those bricks are strong and solid.
Finally, looking up from my work, I nodded enthusiastically.
It will most certainly be done. Thank you for everything. I have lived a truly blessed life.
Drehmal seemed to smile, revealing their long sharp teeth and forked tongue. Then they took me back to the outskirts of our town. My husband could not believe his eyes when he saw me dismount the towering form of my god and friend.
That was great.
Shirua's teachings.
Sure what?
It's Shirua.
Oh, cool.
There once was a worm unlike all the others. Like many creatures of the earth, the worm slithered upon the ground. Like many creatures of the earth, the worm was meek and unassuming. But unlike its brethren, this worm had potential. One day, while the worm was going about its daily routine, it was approached by two others, a beast of the sky and a beast of the depths. The beast of the depths asked the worm,
Dear worm, do you not see your potential? Grab it. Take destiny in your own hands and become all you are meant to be.
The beast of the sky rebuked the beast of the depths.
Fool that you are! You cannot see that the worm is unfit for such heights. After all, the worm is a simple beast of the earth, not divine in the slightest.
The worm, however, ignored both. It knew its time had not yet come, and that rash action would spell its doom. And yet it knew that its day would come, and that it must be prepared for the opportunity. The next day, a day very similar to the previous one, the worm was approached by a worm much larger than itself. The large worm berated the smaller.
Idiot, you're blind to your own fate. Even if you reach divinity, death comes to us all in time.
But the small worm was not concerned about such matters. It was happy with this life, and it would be happy with a divine life. Such stations do not matter to the humble worm. On the third day, the small worm woke up to cacophonous noise. The beasts of the sky and the beasts of the depths had gone to war. The world around the worm was burning and crashing down, yet even now the small worm did not fret. It found the largest tree in the land and was content to curl in its roots, confident that the wizened tree would protect it. Alas, the assault of the beasts proved too much even for the grandsire, and it, too, fell. With the last of its energy, it bestowed power and divinity onto the humble worm, and thus the worm became a worm.
Alright, wealthy citizens' reflections. How do I sound wealthy?
Wealthy. Oh, we're gonna some posh. No.
I grew up with an axe in my hand and a flask at my hip, a wild boy with a foul mouth and a worse attitude. My old man was a woodcutter out in spirit territory, and together we would wander for days on end in a group of 5 others, looking for the odd cigar pine that would fetch a decent price at market in Versul. In Pa's eyes, I would only ever be respected only for what I could carry. He wasn't a cruel man, not really, but he was tragically strong, and a strong body can go a long way to mask a troubled heart. When he missed Ma, he would get drunk and play hecka with Ricky Stone and Leonus, where they would tell jokes for hours about soft Assamites fainting at the sight of sweat. Then, accompanied by the setting Taran, I would be left alone in the woods with my thoughts. It was then that I had taken out my most prized possession, a sketchbook that I had bought for myself from an old traveling merchant. Only then did I allow myself to become something more than a cog. Taking out the pigments I would stash away in my jerkin, I spent my time painting the trees and their personalities. A thin trunk became a weak farmhand. A pine with a lightning-scarred trunk became a maimed widower. A young white cedar, a beautiful woman with auburn hair. I never wanted Pa to see my art. When he crept up behind me, quiet as a deer, and snatched my sketchbook, a lump of shame grew in my throat. My mind spun, trying to think of a confident retort, and my shame turned to shock as a tear rolled down his mountainous face.
How could you have known what she looked like? You weren't even big enough to walk.
Quickly regaining his composure, Pa's face grew impassible. When we returned to Versul, we went across the town square to a squat stone building with quartz trim, the avsomic embassy. Pa had me wait outside while he went in to talk with the man. I busied myself whittling a nearby stick and scowling at passers-by for a time. Before long, Pa returned with the ambassador in tow. Pa looked sheepishly down at me and cleared his throat.
Boy, you're going to go with Bering here. Life out here isn't enough for someone who can paint like you can. You'll do a lot more good in the Empire.
Almost immediately after saying that, he turned red and stiffly walked away. I have come so far since that day, and only recently have I realized that he was right. For years I worked in the finest academies throughout Drehmal, Drehwa, and Aklaroma. I have seen Emperor Dren give a speech at his parapet in av'sal. I've witnessed the majesty of Salanir perched high above the desert floor. I received runic tattoos which helped me look like the person that the tree in my soul looks like. I fell in love. As a woman with a kind husband, 2 wonderful children, and a home that could fit 50 of the cabin I grew up in, I wonder what Pa would think if I met him again. Would he even want to see me? Wona thinks we should take the kids to visit a place where their mother learned to paint. But Spearhead isn't my home anymore. Now, rather than cutting wood, I wear a silk robe and work with the visionary Ikari to design gardens for an underground city. I have become soft, yes, but I have never forgotten the value of hard work. Perhaps then Pa would approve of my life's choices. Maybe he would need to admit that he was wrong about av'som. Maybe he would show our children how to swing an axe like he did for me so many years ago. Maybe. I have not decided yet. Maybe when Ikari and I finally finish with this sector of Salyav, I will wake Wona with a kiss, and we will return to the forest.
Whoa.
There you go.
I'm just saying, like, I don't think there's anything else in there, but that room that you can kind of see right here
Oh, this room?
is where the book was. Yeah.
Oh, there's a feather there. Alright, read it.
As I write this, my thesis defense is only a month away. It's already finished, but I'm still stressing. I'll be presenting it to a panel of avsomic officials, with lots of very important names in attendance. I've been told that my project has attracted the focus of top government scientists. I can't believe it. The thesis defense went even better than expected, and the officials loved it.
They've offered me a grant to continue my research, and even suggested high-level positions in one of the 3 major avsomic divisions, Red Dawn, Blue Exodus, or Green Serpent. I'm honored.
Okay. Whoa.
Ooh, what?
Ethloris 0. Your devotion to Drehmal, the great serpentine deity, shall be represented by a newborn sapling. Let it be doused in your faith, let it flourish in your soul. Ethloris 1. Your devotion to Drehmal, the great serpentine deity, shall be represented by a newborn sapling. It has grown, each new branch being another facet of one's faith. Ethloris 2. Your devotion to Drehmal, the great serpentine deity, shall be represented by a newborn sapling. Soon it will be another towering oak in the neutral one's forest of puzzles. Ethloris 3. The final aspect still dreams of the time before time, when their soul was still the antediluvian primal tree. They susurrate of an age of peace, an age of harmony, an age of silence.
I can't believe it. The witch was right. Over 20 confirmed dead in the mines, 10 more still missing. I was sure that when she and her tribe came to town, they meant nothing but to harm us. For as long as my father could remember, they have come to Raverick only to denounce our practices. Endless calls to stop cutting lumber, stop burning wood, and especially to stop keeping livestock have a way of undermining one's goodwill. When she suggested that we stop mining, I damn near drew my blade. But now, I don't know what to think. The hull was never as Avsohm's top surveyors hoped. The Hovitshire vein was thick but shallow, and while the coalition seemed continued for some distance, it was thin and full of mostly impure rentite. All of these complaints are meaningless now. I will never forget the horrible creaking sound. It echoed from somewhere deep below, a sound that no stone should make. And then a deep rumbling, crashing and shattering. Buildings slumped and collapsed, falling into the ground. The lake roiled and sunk into the holes we had dug. I'll never forget those screams. Most have already moved on now, packed up and went away. I can't say I blame them, but my place is here. When the traders and travelers stay at the inn, which used to be the hub of our community, I will tell them what happened to the town of Raverick. Folks have got to learn to use their eyes and ears instead of just obeying commands from leaders across the damn continent. Greed is a force that can only be beat by stopping and thinking from time to time.
Curious.
Curiousa and Curiousa. Whoa.
Wow. Think good up here?
Whoa.
Place your offerings to Mystic Elder Kive here.
Mercenaries' resignation! That's it! I've reached my limit with poking around these miserable old ruins. There's no sign of brewing stands that were used by Kive's chosen. I don't see so much as a single rune above ground in this sorry mess. This is the last straw. I'm out of here, and I'm never taking another job at av'sal Castle for a slimy coot.
Hey, law guy, here you
Whoa.
go. Oh, there is something here.
Oh.
Annoyed archaeologist's thoughts.
Today's scholars might not like it, but there was a time before av'sal. This city is proof positive. We call it Ited, after a long-lost city in one of the lands from before the felling of the primal tree. Like that ancient place, this Ited was also once a hub of runic magic and Kive worship. But after Emperor Iphile forbade the worship of aspects, the few remaining mystics who made their home here were exiled, leaving behind an ancient ziggurat in a small town slowly sinking into wet soil. Officially, no runes were discovered on the ziggurat or in the houses left behind in this Ited, but I have my doubts. There are places on the old stone which appear to be lightly singed by a powerful handheld mining beam. Av'sal tells us that if we choose to worship any god, it must be either virtual or Drehmal. But, just as that may have been used as an excuse to obtain ancient runic knowledge here, I wonder if the religion requirements are all just designed to endear the emperors of avsohm, allegedly descended from the prophet Shirwa of Drehwa, to the people. Perhaps I am being paranoid. I shall begin to dig beneath this ruin soon for discoveries that haven't yet been picked over by Blue Exodus or Red Dawn. This ruin is very old, so I expect there could be several buried buildings at this site.
There are, though.
He was right.
Yeah, there are. Wait, Okay, I did it. I got Mysterio +3.
Mysterial 0, the first blessing of the Mystic One. What an extraordinarily rare occasion. Mysterio 1, the second blessing of the Mystic One. Hold it with reverence. Mysterio 2, the third blessing of the Mystic One. It has been many ages since a single blessing was granted. Mysterio 3, in the first Avim, the rules of magic were taught to lowly Dramari by Kive himself. The Mystic Elder's only wish is to go back and undo it all, to keep the secrets to himself.
From the canopy, an ancient spire rises. Hail to oh, they're the... Oh.
Oh, there it is. Wow. How are we gonna get there? Oh, it looks like it's gonna be a parkour.
Ah, they're creatures.
Where are you? Did you go straight towards it?
There are creatures in the forest. Should we dock our horses here?
You think so? Unless we run past the creatures. And duck our horses at the tower.
We could try. Should we try?
Oh, let's see if we can get like a straight line to the tower.
I don't think we can. I'm docking my horse.
Oops. Do you see it's like a chair, right?
Yeah, I see what you mean. I'm gonna go back down to grab the book from the thing.
I can feel it. They're coming back soon. The Zephyr Relay returns. I have run with the cold wind south and met my brothers and sisters here. We have brought a most attractive offering. Soon we shall hear the words of the great wanderer themselves. We hope that this perch will prove most comfortable. Please come back, Relay. Please?
I wonder if they came back.
I don't think they did. You can have the book.
Ooh, book.
Kusani, it's a beautiful place. Hard to believe this will be the last time I'll ever visit. As excited as I am by the personal summons from Anir, I've been told that it's more of a permanent position. Avsohm doesn't want their secrets getting out after all. Well, I can't say I'm disappointed. It's not every day I get to pilot a cutting-edge avsomic airship.
Oh.
An airship, you say?
Wonder if it's the or if it's just a. How many do they have in their fleet?
What's the book
or
title?
Had? The book was titled Memoir of Devro Ib.
Ib?
Ooh, a book.
What's its title?
Ib's Letter Home.
Children of Kazadi, though salty brine is never seen, relish in your sea of green. I write to you from far, far away. I was rounding the island of Dawn on the way home when I ran into me publisher, Soli. She had been searching far and wide to find me latest writings and was heated as a tiger shark.
But when the seas finally calmed aboard the Surly Duchess, she told me quite the tale. I hear that many back home know the name of Devereaux Imp, and that my adventures have inspired several other youngsters to set off on adventures. I have a few things to say to you. First, know that I am truly grateful, though I'm sure Sully and her editors do a good job of glamorizing my deeds. Being the steersman of a seafaring craft is not an easy job. The recognition I have received is flattering, and it fills me old heart with courage. Second, and this one's to the parents of those kiddos, I'm sorry. Sounds like they have been quite a handful, but I do encourage you to let them loose just a bit. Ours is a time of relative safety, and homely of seeing the world is not the noblest thing a person can do. Third, and last, I have a few words for me old ma and pa. I left never intending to see either of you again, and I've never looked back until now. If you are still kicking, know that I have grown into my boots and me beard. I am a strong man now, experienced, wise, and kind. I hope that you can come to see that. To all, me next journey will be to visit you in Pisani, and after that, I shall leave on me greatest adventure yet. Though I would like to use a different send-off, I feel like the kids would get a kick out of this one. Here goes. Always beyond!
Thanks, Captain. So that's one piece of lore.
To my surprise, the avsomic bridge did ruin Espinor after all. The Tide Mary of Zovan haven't tried to take us over yet, and the amount of goods and capital flowing through it might just make my wallet sing. Really, I don't know why I was worried. For a humble gold merchant like myself, avsohm never fails to deliver. The new governor of Espinal has even given me a cut of the taxes to establish new trade routes with the Tide Queen. I've already taken the liberty of keeping a small cut for myself. Perhaps I'll even use some of those funds to take a trip to the kiln. I have heard that the Bimari that live there are incredibly hot. Maybe even Virtue herself will fall for my monetary charms.
Espinal's bridge is the bridge that we saw that's fucked up.
Oh, that would make sense.
The assumption.
Oh, good thing he missed.
Blood-ridden curse.
I've had enough. My son is dead. My wife is dead. My parents are dead. My friends are dead. Their friends are dead. Our traditions are dead. Our crops are dead. Our animals are dead. And I will be dead soon too. This place is nothing but a graveyard now. If you're reading this in a Gozaki or from one of Insom's puppet armies, I curse you to watch as everyone you love is destroyed before dying slowly from a gut wound carved by the Queen's Masayoshi. Blood for blood.
Whoa.
Kind of, this place looks like a off the beaten path. I found a book titled Off the Beaten Path.
We sure do get a lot of tourists in the jolly old city of Tides these days. Usual throngs held to the kiln, of course. But we've also seen plenty of foreigners shopping around the Parish Memorial Plaza in the main downtown streets. Precious few, however, know about the real heart and soul of Tide commerce, the black market at Calava Alley. Located right below the Merchants Guild, you won't find better deals this side of the desolation. I'll need to bring Bara and Laga when they finally come to visit.
What did that place say again?
What?
Oh. Can you find the Merchants Guild?
Sure, I'll look.
There's It says in this guy's book that there's a black market below it. This place
So
is
you can
called
get
the
to
Black Jungle.
Oh.
Just like
Sounds about
swimmer,
right.
basically. There's a chest up there. Shit. Wait, hold on. Let me activate this first.
Initiating phase warp. New power online. Linking the network. Network linkage restored to 25%.
Scientific progress. APOTHEOSIS has requested your presence at an ancillary research facility. Network linkage restored to 25%. Yeah, we have a quest. We have a new quest.
Quest from the
Ancillary research facility network terminal online. Located dispensed. Officer presence requested for manual on-site reboot.
We get a new compass.
Whoa!
Negotiated pine cone flower.
You think go in there?
There's a book. I'm gonna take it.
Ooh, yoink.
You took it.
The origin of Green Serpent is mysterious even amongst its siblings. It existed as the commercial and economic branch of the avsomic Empire's nominally unaffiliated Big Three. Green Serpent held major influence over all aspects of the avsomic economy. Little was known about the inner circle of the group. Members were anonymous and only did business with the avsomic Senate through a myriad of intermediaries. One thing is certain. It was both tight-knit and centuries old, likely predating the reign of Dren. Some even posit ancient Drehmal connections. Despite this distance, Green Serpent and the avsomic Empire quickly became deeply entwined. Blue Exodus protects Green Serpent convoys carrying Red Dawn shipments and so on. That same distance gave Green Serpent a means of insulation from the fall of av'sal, allowing them to persist far beyond the rest as a major trading conglomerate, adventurous guild, and trusted information broker. The many adventuring merchants of Drehmal sleep well knowing that the indomitable commercial strength of Green Serpent protects them.
Oh.
Okay, so
we learned about the. So we know they're the big three, right?
Yeah.
Green Serpent, Red Dawn,
hold on. You can
and
put
Blue
the book in here.
Exodus.
And this book is titled Precepts of the Tidal Dynasty.
Precepts of the Tidal Dynasty. Mind the tides. Take territory when the ocean falls away, and reinforce what you have when it rises again. Make peace with the powerful. Be a stalwart friend to those who could crush you until you could crush them. In times of rebellion, start a war. Direct revolution outwards. Nothing sticks in the memory like fire. Use it sparingly to set an example. If you can afford to, trust only those who owe you a life debt and to whom you have given great riches.
Hey, Bird, I think this place may be corrupt. Yo, that's
Researchers only.
Woes of a botanist. Woes of a botanist. Why, in the name of all that is holy, why are these idiots putting orchids in the shade? Why are there ferns in direct sunlight? Who decided to plant carrots where you will get no sun? Everywhere I go, just lilies of the valley in the sun, roses in the shade, azaleas in the sun, daisies in the shade. Does anyone on this damn chunk of land know anything about plants? Absolute abuse of these poor little things. They can't decide where they are. You have to take care of them. Next, someone's gonna tell me they're giant mushrooms in full sunlight growing on the moon.
Oh my god.
So I have a book. It's entitled Southern Exploration.
Yesterday, I decided to explore the southern Black Jungle and see the coastline. I'd only seen it once before when my father was still with me, but that aside, I started by taking my trusty steed and going directly south, avoiding the lava flows and magma pits. Once I reached the shore, I decided to go east. I plan on going west another time, and after traversing around a large volcano, I saw an island offshore. There were 3 of them, but the one that caught my eye was the southernmost and the smallest. Atop its white and blue peak was what looked to be some sort of monastery. There wasn't a path up there, and it was across dangerous ocean waters, so I couldn't properly explore the island. It had similar architecture to Fertide, but it was still distinctly different, unlike anything I had ever seen or heard of. I plan on returning with a boat and some climbing gear and documenting what I find there. Hopefully something interesting.
Let's go.
What the fuck?
What was that?
Okay, well, first off, Masayoshi.
Ah! This guy must have been. I wonder if he was living here.
Masayoshi. The Tide Queen was born with unlimited potential, granting her the ability to regenerate decaying cells within living bodies. A master artisan from a land she erased from history crafted this bloodthirsty blade for her, and she used its strengths without its drawbacks to rule for thousands of years.
Whoa.
Bloodletting. Every hit with this sword deals half a heart of damage to you.
Whoa, it's just like the... No, it's not.
It does twice as much damage as an iron sword. Alright, so I have claimed 2 lore books. We have one called Wellspring Day, and the other is History of the Tidal Dynasty.
When Loran begins to glow blue, the intensely pungent and spicy aroma of Kema begins flowing through the wide avenues of Fertide and Voltide. Wellspring Day has come again. Among the very oldest and most revered traditions of the Southeast, Wellspring Day seems to have originated from an early command made by the Lady of the Myr herself during the Deity War. Legend has it that Virtuo looked out at Melis's atrocities and noticed the precariousness of Dramari. So many were infected by plagues, converted to the mindless Melmari, or made into pawns by bribery. Although her Dramari could help them stave off those ailments, she knew that creating too many would increase the likelihood of weaker initiates betraying her or abandoning her faith. Wellspring Day was one way to ensure that Dramari came to her. While annual ritual cleansing and rites of purification performed by Dramari remained the spiritual core of the festival, Wellspring Day in the Tidal Dynasty has become so much more. An atmosphere of anticipation begins at sunup, along with the first rites of purification. Dramari priests and monks are purified first at the waters of the kiln and sacred fountains within the grand parish and temple of Virtual Ascendant in Voltide. Meanwhile, smoke slowly begins to waft from chimneys as the kema is made. A blend of flintroot, curry, water pepper, cumin, and almonds, kema is a thick orange sauce which fills the nostrils and brings a pleasant buzzing sensation to the mind. It is prepared over several hours in multiple cycles of heating, cooling, and stirring. It is said that the scent is so strong that it will last until next year's Wellspring Day and remind every Dramari to remain faithful to Virtual. For those of the Tidal Dynasty, it is also a reminder to appreciate the local monarch, the eternally inscrutable Tide Queen. Under royal decree, no citizen is to work even a minute on regular labor on Wellspring Day. Instead, local farmers, butchers, and restaurateurs come out to the city centers to sell their wares. The sound of games, races, and talent competitions is supplemented by the efforts of musicians on stages on street corners, and dramatic productions famed throughout the realm. As morning continues, children spill out onto streets to play as adults prepare for the events of the day. After all the priests have been cleansed, the oldest Dramari begin to make their way to the purification sites first. Finally, when the sun is at its highest point, the great gong from the Tide Queen's personal collection is rung, and the shores are filled by visitors from across the realm. For that one day only, the Tidal Dynasty is open to traffic from abroad. They come in droves to celebrate and bathe in the rivers and bathhouses. After all citizens have been purified, the waters are then open to foreigners. Great lines form from the outskirts to the center of the twin cities as runners sell them drinks and anything and everything smothered in kema. As the sun gets lower in the sky and sunset begins, most citizens gather outside the Tidal Palace in Fertide for the Tide Queen's balcony speech. Her comments are typically brief, but full of strength and vitality, outlining her goals for the next year. Then, as she returns to her quarters, the final phase of festivities begin. In the center of Voltide, a great play takes place telling the history of the realm. In the beginning, it only told the story of the deity war, but every year adds more details and actors from throughout the realm. The author of this account has had the fortune of seeing the living archive on 17 occasions and even contributing to its script. Surrounded by a ring of 9,000 lanterns, the atmosphere is timeless. Finally, as the lines run out and the living archive concludes, outsiders are sent onto their ships and escorted out of tidal lands. Citizens return to their homes and fall into beds. While the next week's cleanup is one of the hardest parts of the year, the magic of Wellspring Day is worth the hardship.
Whoa.
So yeah, that's Wellspring Day.
That day really do be well sprung.
Here's the second book. History of the Tidal Dynasty.
The Black Jungle, a lawless land plunged into chaos because of the fall of the Empire of Ver, sought a ruler strong enough to bind together the region. The Tide Queen, whose real name is unknown, seized this opportunity to create the Tidal Dynasty and conquer all of the jungle. It was soon discovered that she held unlimited potential. She would use this ability to make herself effectively immortal, regenerating all of her wounds and eradicating any diseases. Though she ruled well for many years, eventually the Tide Queen began to grow paranoid about subversives within her realm. Along with this shift in mentality came a policy shift in favor of isolationism and defense. With an increasingly large military and the Queen's considerable tactical skill, the dynasty began to grow its territory into that of the Gozaki Union and other East Hardwood kingdoms. It was around this time that Drehmal visited Fertide and Voltide. Rumor has it that both leaders had a look at the other's forces and mutually came to an agreement that neither desired a pitched war. An accord was quietly signed, and the Tidal Dynasty became one of the very few places in Drehmal to never fall under the ruling thumb of av'sal. Though still popular with the people, the Tide Queen continued to slowly withdraw her state from the rest of the world. This culminated in Av2 1859, when foreigners were banned from tidal lands altogether, except when making pilgrimages to kill a virtual or trading in a single designated port. When av'sal fell and the virtual faith became even more central to Dremari life, the dynasty even began to tax the foreigners who traveled through its waterways. Never popular outside of her insular state, these policies and continued aggressive posturing at her borders made the Tide Queen an ever more intolerable leader for Eastern powers. The final straw for Hovicha Marek and the trade coalition he had assembled, however, was the dynasty's Guardian program, wherein the tidal fleet occupied a massive swath of the ocean south of the Black Jungle, ostensibly to protect passing ships, but really to extort them. This was simultaneously the reason for Insum's major investment in airships and the beginning of the end for the Tide Queen. For nearly 15 years, a secret organization within Insum waged an espionage campaign within the tidal capital of Fertide. During this time, the Tide Queen began to visibly unravel as she lashed out at anyone who she perceived to be a spy. Finally, as planned, some factions within the Tidal dynasty began to turn against their monarch. Then, suddenly and brutally, it was over. A group of trained mercenaries broke into the Tidal Palace and somehow managed to kill the Tide Queen in her sleep. For nearly a week, chaos reigned. Though Insum tried to quell the public's anger, the powder keg that was Fertide soon erupted. The Tidal War wound up being the largest conflict that the realm had seen since the Dune Wars, a proxy war fought between an Insomic-backed coalition calling for rule by the Grand Parish of Virtual and the Tide Queen's top military officials claiming that they had the legitimate right to rule. It ended when Melis took advantage of the chaos to invade the Kiln of Virtual and badly injure the goddess herself. Riding a wave of sympathy for Virtual, the Grand Parish were able to claim victory and establish the parochial enclave of Fertide, which is where history meets present. Life in the Black Jungle has never been easy. In a land where both nature and society are often cruel, it is difficult to imagine that the Enclave will be able to maintain the peace for long. We shall see.
Whoa. That whole time is just the Enclave, like from Fallout.
Shut up! How do we get up there?
Might have to do a
Okay,
cool
you built something up there while I read the letter.
Alright.
Hello, Uncle Amos. I'm not sure if you remember me, but I'm your Dramari nephew, Silas. Finding you wasn't easy. I had to bribe one of the crew bringing freight between Fertide and the Crimson Oasis to do some digging. I really hope you're doing well over there. Your husband, Devon, is very worried about you. He didn't want me to send this message, but I refuse to believe that Maelmari only harbor evil in their hearts. You probably are thinking a lot about how you can serve the Burnt Lord. Believe me, I understand. But it should be possible to serve him in some way back at home in Mossfield. Even if you need to go and join some faraway war sometimes, I'm sure that we wouldn't mind, as long as your family can see you. I haven't forgotten about your promise to take me and my sister to Prominence Point. Please come back to us soon. Your devoted nephew, Silas Pine.
Whoa.
So he is gay
Yo.
because
Gay people are real?
It's Uncle Amos and he has a husband, so gay people are real in Drehmal canon.
Gay people are canon in Drehmal. Let's go.
You take the book. What is this building? That's like
Ooh, I found a book.
What book? Where?
The Battle of River Street. I'm in the River Street courtyard.
Where's the River Street courtyard? I want to find you.
On River Street.
My God.
Oh my gosh. Siri Haypon just got a new red rosebush. This is a blatant violation of the neighborhood code. Let me just list a few reasons why she has ruined our whole community. She waters that thing every day, taking away our ability to drink and bathe our children. It's so garish. No one will ever want to live in this part of town anymore. It is dangerous. One of her kids, or one of our kids, is going to impale themselves on its asinine thorns. She cut down a beautiful little mahogany to put that thing in. That could have been a stunning tree someday. She just won't stop talking about that stupid thing. Rose bushes might have been in last year, but they are out now. I am seriously considering going over in the middle of the night and chopping it down, so help me, goddess.
Oh.
Huh.
Homeowners associations, am I right?
Yeah, that's true.